Hello. To be clear, I don't think this stuff is out yet, right? This is more pre-planning. I figure it'd be good to have my thoughts out before people get stuff in hand and start going crazy. This is prep work. We're gonna take audit of where it looks like. So it should be out in an hour, probably. I mean, it might be. It's entirely possible we do some yapping and then naturally rolls into it. But Crumb specifically said by end of day tomorrow, so I imagine there's going to be some updates are normal. Yeah, but this is not pre-planned. This is doing the live type shit. So he said by end of day tomorrow. So I would not take usual precedent as like indicative, right? If it happens, cool. If not, y'all will have my thoughts beforehand. We'll do some theory crafting. We'll kind of have a semi informed ish, more so just speculative opinion on where the winds appear to be blowing. I will say, you said infinite rerolls. We are getting 20,000 reroll mats, correct? I know this is going to sound insane, but that is not infinite. If you're doing 80 cost per reroll, isn't that like 250 rerolls? Am I crazy? But they said the reroll cost to one reroll. I believe that was referring to cash. Or am I wrong? I believe it was trying to deal with the fact that you were given more cash than you could hold. We will be setting the data cache cost of rerolling to one data cache. Yes. I believe I am correct. Yeah, it's because like in the inbox it was like, hey, here's your 137 million cash. It's like that's not cool. Thanks. Minus 37 mil. If it rerolls is a lot though, it is. But I'm just saying it in advance so that motherfuckers aren't out there on your first datacron trying to hunt for 6 matching stats. You'll see like at least 20 crowns. I mean, it's enough for 30. It's literally 8 rerolls on 7/8 per datacron. Or 9. But this isn't a 9 heavy set anyway, so it gives a fuck. It is a lot. I am not saying oh, that's not that much. My point is, don't get lost in the sauce. Don't like you gotta keep the big picture in mind. Like try to ballpark around 8 tries, and if it's not happening, it's not happening. Although, okay, didn't they say that we're getting new ones that have like 90%? You will also receive all the materials needed to take these new datacrons. Yeah. We will grant players a new level 0 pills of war datacrons for each attacker datacron you have in your inventory, +1. So even if you have no attacker datacrons or even no datacrons, you will get one. Oh, +1. So it's just like one for free on top. Yeah. So what's up? Crazy shit, Bane. Ironically, I feel like I'm in a very fucking weird position. A lot of people seem to emotionally be where I was a week ago, and I seem to be emotionally where they were a week ago. I'm actually a little bit bummed because if I knew that this shit was gonna happen, I would have not emoed the fuck out. Because what happened, drama? Alongside Relic 10 and Relic Delta, CG released the return of Rollcrons, and the attacker cron was horribly broken. Oftentimes led to one AoE move just like blasting entire squads. So naturally, that turned into a arms race for who could get the most attacker crons, just to try to slap that shit on every team. And as of yesterday, it was like a few things. It was like everyone's collection got reverted down to a certain number because they were trying to like basically CG wants the effect to be bounce fixed and is trying to figure out how to do the make good successfully. And so it started off with like all of everyone's datacrons was just like set to level 5, and you got materials back, but you didn't get the rerolls. That has been a process over the last day of them being like, yeah, the rerolls are gonna come back. We're doing like, they're basically making good on just about everything. The only thing I would say is really up in the air is a lot of spenders appear to be upset about like, well, you know, now everyone has datacrons. Crazy datacrons, even if they didn't spend, and I spent for all this advantage. And so, if there's going to be a make good along those lines, it's basically their floating question. How fixing a balance problem seems like kind of a good thing. I mean, we've talked about this in the past in Galaxy Heroes for like general balance patches. It's really just a problem with CG's model. It's like people expect monetary investment to have an entrenching effect. Where it, like, the moment that something is released, it is galvanized, untouchable. For better or for worse. I mean, I feel like the biggest takeaway yesterday was like there was no heads up. It was basically just a jump scare. The problem was they don't test our game before they add some things. I mean, they do though. Failure to catch it does not mean a lack of testing. They did it to stop the unmonetized attacker heavy stranger team from becoming unbeatable in 2 weeks. Are you basing that on Barbarossa videos? Can we not do this every time? I'm like decently involved with the whole Barb video processing. I have a lot of fun doing it, and I hope a lot of people have fun watching it. But the community reaction taking them way too seriously kind of sucks some fun out of it. Like, wow, this team's unbeatable. Brother, did you see like one of the matches where he had like Starkiller at like 5% health and he chose the basic Chimera instead and lost for it? Treat it as being in good fun and not indicative. Yeah, I don't know. I like the hot fixing a balance problem. I like, and frankly, I almost wish that it would happen more often. But understandably, is a very complex situation for CG to have to handle. It's understandable why they haven't really done it in the past. People freaked the fuck out over that Parasita back in the day. Seems like weird times, but you heard the sky was falling. So basically, the biggest problem I would say is it's that a lot of big shit happen around the holidays, happen around Thanksgiving, happen around Christmas. The like where the people are out of office, they can't be agile. They started walking the tightrope with 2 limbs tied. Which they wanted to do it for the game's anniversary, the 10th anniversary, I assume. But, like... Look, man. It's a cool sentiment. Give yourself some grace. Like, give yourself 2 to 3 weeks. Like, just put it out 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time and be like, hey, here's our big anniversary update. Because I don't know shit about anything going on, but I can't imagine the holidays have helped in all of this. That just feels like typical stuff. Literally, the Datacron was so broken that everyone was asking me what should they relic 10, and the prevailing feeling that I had was just like, bro, it doesn't fucking matter for 4 months. Like, yeah, it was just like Attacker Cron was just obliterating everything, that it just killed my interest in the game. It was basically wake me up in 3 months when this shit ends status for me. Feels like when Ahsoka Tano got hosed, release at Christmas, underwhelming, etc., etc. Underwhelming? I can't say I agree. I feel like she's done just fine. Yeah, somebody spent $300 on this set quite after the Bacon was announced. I mean, I won't sugarcoat it. Like, I spent that much. I spent more than that. I'm not exactly proud of it. I didn't spend that much more than that. I was not a 4-digit player, or even high 3, but I don't know, man. At the end of the day, I care more about the game being fun. Like, ironically, the emotional reaction that people are having now is the emotional reaction that I was having before. And now I am having the excitement now that they were having before, and they're having the emotional detachment now, but like... That's what my feeling on all this is, like, okay, cool. The Datacron side of things make good is fine, but it's clear, like, a lot of spenders feel personally slighted by this shit, so that's why, like, in my mind, it's like, can we just, like, issue our 10 mats to people who spent to, like, make them feel like they got their money's worth out of it? The only problem with that shit is, like, apparently people are spending thousands on Datacron sets, so I don't know if the way out of this is for CG to be like, here's, you spent $2,000, here's 10 Relic 10s. I don't know if that exactly works for CG either. That would actually be kind of insane in some weird ways. You're just laughing all day? Dude, I was fucked up yesterday. I didn't know what to feel. I had just, like, straight up, I had just, like, emotionally divorced from this set. I wasn't even, like, dooming on this set. I just, like, yeah, it was a fucking defense mechanism. I was like, this shit sucks so much ass, and I know that the game is gonna be insanely fun in, like, 3 months' time. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. I'm just, like, I'm out, I'm good, I'm gonna show up and do my battles, and that'll probably be about the extent of it. And then this shit dropped, and it was like, I'm probably supposed to be excited, but I don't. Again, I was just like my guard was so up leading into it that I like didn't have the capacity to like respond positively, and it wasn't until like I went to go see if I could post any supporter tank crons, and that got the juices flowing, and I was like, okay, there will be some fun to be had, I think. At the end of the day, I just want things with the game to remain chill. So like, if make goods need to happen for the whales to feel like they weren't slighted or whatever, like, I hope that they can figure something like that out. Personally, I think GC is going to be way more fun now. Like, look, man, how much shit talk was going on about like R10 Ahsoka, R10 Leia, and like the most common punchline is like, yeah, you just wasted an R10 just to die to attacker crowds. Like, it wasn't even funny at some point. It was just kind of fucking sad. Whether or not I necessarily agree with those investments, if someone makes that choice to do that, you would hope that when running into that, that makes you pause and like do a double take and look at it and think about it like, ooh, fuck, what's that gonna mean? Right now. What did that shit mean? Not much. Or as of 2 days ago, what did that mean? Not much. Now, I mean, roll crons are still going to be powerful. It's just not going to be cartoonishly so. That's the weird thing. I am assuming that I will hopefully be able to go back to what we were doing. That was fun as hell. But I do think that roll crons are going to still violently shake things up. That I don't think it's all just gonna translate seamlessly. Right. I don't know, it's weird to think about. Yeah, I appreciate that 31-month striker. Alright. Shall we take a walk? Also, as we do it, I kind of just want to maybe do a roster scroll just to think about R10. Now that R10 actually feels like it has been released and is not just a sacrificial lamb. Expect there'll be a lot of health crown stats built? Not necessarily. Yes and no. Right? You kind of need the well, that's very much what we're going to be talking about today, right? We're going to be talking about which teams want health, which teams want protection, which teams want support, which teams want tank, which teams want attacker, which teams want healer. Because I think it's going to be a sliding scale. And so this is not going to be like a shopping list, but this is going to be like trying to feel out a loose ballpark. Anyway. Shall we? How would I do this? Let's do R10 roster scroll first. Because there were some random stray thoughts that I had that made me think a thought that, you know, the existing list exists. But I'm just going to go top to bottom. Jabba, medium priority. I think in 3v3 could be fun against Night Sisters with the correct mod set and Datacron backing it. You get the tenacity, you get the crit avoidance. To maybe try to put some pressure on mid-grade Night Sisters or inexperienced NS players who would just get to Marin last standing at auto basic. I think you could maybe put down a trap for those players. Lord Vader. I think hell no. Brother, they printed 2 hard counters. They printed a hard counter in the vein of BKM, and they said, "Don't worry, we're gonna make Darkseid clones." And that shit didn't even necessarily stop BKM. But then just to add insult to injury, they made Maz. It's like, what? I like we can talk about it with Rollcrons, but I don't see a way out realistically. I think LV's job is just to die to Maz, and you don't need R10 for that to happen. Ray, I don't think is a worthy investment. C is interesting. When I look at C, I'm looking at it for like, I want the crit avoidance, I want the tenacity, I want the extra GL health and protection unique. Although you're more in it for the health than the protection, but both technically exist, right? How's the armor gain? Not good. This was like originally going to be my number 1 on the list, like the very first art that I did. As I sat with it over time, I feel less bullish on it. I mean, it's 340 offense. You could do worse. I'm going to say this is medium. SLK, I think you don't need it until you do. I will have an SLK the next time that they release some fucked up FDC. And SLK is the only motherfucker who can counter it, and it's not 100% win rate. And you need to just be absolutely goddamn sure as much as possible that he just tries to live as much as possible. And maybe for whatever infernal reason, you would need the accuracy on top. SLK, I'm going to say, is a meta call. JMK, I think it's bad. Like, yeah, funny accuracy joke, but like, put an accuracy error on. I just don't see. Attackers really don't have terribly much reason to. I would have to be doing some crazy fucking undersized stuff to ever really consider R10 JMK. A lot of my criteria here, especially when considering like R10 GLs, I'm looking at 2 things. Technically 3. I'm looking at, is this going to make the team better on defense? Is this team going to let me counter something that they couldn't already counter on offense? Is this going to help me undersize, which is kind of folding into the second criteria, right? Is this going to let me score more than I usually would, right? Is this going to make a undersized matchup safer? So with that in mind, JMK I think is low, but again, if the undersize is sharp enough, maybe it starts to make some sense. But it doesn't. R10 just doesn't really provide anything JMK really cares about aside from like vaguely accuracy, and even then kind of right for the low cost of like having 1 good accuracy arrow, you could save an R10 more or less. Right, this crit damage is whatever, the offense gain is not good, the bulk gain is not good. I don't think JMK is necessarily scared of tenacity and doesn't really, right? The team already is good at negating crits, that the CA is kind of whatever here. And the CC is fine. Yeah, his crit chase is already blatantly like 102. Leia, obviously GL tank statistically would be good on her, but I have not really seen a Leia struggle that I just don't really feel much impulse to do it. Like, to me, I think that this is a low tier at the moment. Right, the crit avoidance is redundant because she stacks CAs just so abundantly with her leadership. Wow, she only gains like 36 offense. Not that she's like an offense-centric character. But yeah, like, it's what? 6,300 health? Is like not that crazy. Actually, that sounds really small. Oh, no, it's like I read that wrong. Yeah, it's like 8,300. Something like that. Sokotano. This might be high tier now. I think more so for 3v3 than for 5v5, but like maybe in 3v3, Arten Ahsoka, like with Tankron, with really good dedicated mods, and a healthy rerolled Kron backing it, maybe you could just do some fucked up stuff. If you are doing Arten Ahsoka, please, for the love of God, give her defense mods. I don't, as maybe this is self-reporting for me saying this, I am not aware of any reason for Ahsoka to need to be turbo. There are a lot of reasons I can think of for why she would need to get her armor up. Unless, of course, you're worried about, like, Night Sisters or Great Mothers, but usually you're doing something else with the rest of the team to help check Great Mothers. So her job is to just be a massive pain in the ass to kill. Or stuff like Leia, is how I see it. That's a Pirate King. I think he will be a high tier, but so long as everyone is just assigning us okay, I don't think there's too much reason to do it yet. Right? The moment that people start to get cutesy, I think Arten Vane, Arten Hondo, when you can comfortably do so. But like Arten Vane, I would also prioritize higher than Hondo, just because of tank benefit. But yeah, I would imagine he would use it relatively well. It would really just be a question of what's countering him at the time. That's already on. Wasn't my choice. Arten Gas. I mean, I won't lie. When I'm doing turbo gas shit, one of the things that I'm doing, I need to mod him for crit chance, I need to mod him for potency. Technically, it actually does hit, but it's the modding. Usually, when I'm looking for characters to boost with R10, it's usually for characters like 35% crit chance is not that hard to sneak in, right? That is not prohibitive broadly. So like, I would say this is like a low mid tier. It does hit, like it is fitting the criteria for like, this is a character for whom I like this number to go up, and I want this number to say 100 for when I'm using him as a Jedi. So like, it satisfies the criteria, but again, like it's not that hard to just mod him for a speed, potency, crit chance. So like, in that sense, good usage of R10, but not like critical upgrade. Ezra. Wait, he only gains 2% deflection? Wait, that's not that good. His armor doesn't change? His bulk only goes up by like 35, or his health only goes up by like 3,500. I am not impressed by this. I think this is a hard no. I mean, do you want to spend an R10 for 2% dodge, possibly 4% if he doubles it? That is crazy talk. Yeah, Mom. Literally, you would only be doing this for the crit avoidance. Which, like, maybe in some spots, in some metas, it makes sense to run, like, Ezra, crit avoid arrow, R10, like, because Drogon's crit chance is kind of not great, right? And I think a lot of players are lazy on modding Drogon for crit chance. So I'm not going to say that could never make sense, but just on average, that horrible, horrible R10 synergy. Treya, already did it. Did it for the crit chance. Broadly. The offense and crit avoidance are also neat to have, but yeah. Alright, like I said. Gas-wise, crit chance, not that rough. This, it's pretty rough. I have 45% crit chance on mods, and that woman is still 60% off. Not great. You see, we're talking about the first R10 after BKM is done. You start playing again, and you can do it on your account. And you can play with the toy. Would R10 Drogon be better than R10 Leia? On average, I would say probably, but again, like, R10 attacker is just, I mean, but Drogon does kind of need the crit chance help, right? I mean, it's not like prohibitively bad, but oh man, this number is higher than I remember. Wait, doesn't he get put? Who am I thinking of? I know I'm thinking of Kyle, but I didn't. Because isn't this where's the boy? Am I blind? Yes, he's right there. Okay, Drogon gets 50% crit chance. I'm wrong. I'm not. I'm thinking of someone other than Drogon, I guess. I would not say Drogon is that high of a priority then. It would have to be a meta call where like Ahsoka's on some crazy shit where that first Drogon shot absolutely had to drop somebody and you thought they were contesting on bulk. For it to make sense. I mean, like, look, having your Drogon get focused is uncomfortable. But again, like, 3,000 protection plus 1,200 health. Is that what you're trying to spend an R10 on? What does R10 cost? You just play this daily game mode. You play the daily game mode. You get free mats for participating on it, depending on how you score on the leaderboard. And then you get these coins. And then you take the coins to the store, and then you buy these. And then you scavenger. And you turn signal data into purple signal data. And that's about it. Otherwise, it's just an R9. Alright. Wrecker. Yeah. The boy literally forces the enemy team to hit him. I mean, he technically does it, but the squad does, right? Tanks are disproportionately benefited by R10, just like R9, right? And the number is smaller than R9, yes. But proportionally speaking, it I would almost say R10 is more tank favored than R9 was. What is he? Strength attacker? You can probably pull up career as like a... Yeah, so we just talked about like Drogon getting what, 3,000 protection, 1,200 health? Now compare that to 13,000 protection and 9,000 health. Right? And that shit feeds into mods. And what did you know? Look at the base armor as well. That number went up as well. My Wrecker. Well, shit, wait, I don't know what my Wrecker's current state actually is for the loadout that I loaded. Is probably like slightly lower. No, it is. My Wrecker now is 84.2 armor, where the old magic number was around like 83 to 83.5. Which is all small shit, but like, I know it doesn't sound like a huge gap, but when you get above 80 to 83, any gains you make represents a lot of shit. All you're hearing is pause these R10. We're going to talk about pause. I am not immediately considering pause, but we're talking tanks, right? I think R10 benefits tanks a hell of a lot more than it benefits attackers, and it doesn't really help supports all that much either. So like, when I'm thinking about R10, we're doing a roster sweep for like mechanics, looking for crit chance opportunities, looking for crit chance, crit avoidance, tenacity, potency, accuracy. But I'm also just doing this. I'm filtering by tanks. I'm like, okay, who are the tanks that are like taking the most heat? Wrecker, I already got him. My mind goes easily to Morgan second. R10 Balin. Balin would probably be third. I mean, dude, look at the fucking batting average lately. Great Mothers has been failing for me a pretty fair amount. And some of that was because of attacker cron bullshit, but like, still though, right? The whole point being, it's a very similar situation to Bad Batch. The squad relies on the standalone tank to just hold the ground. And pretty much every Great Mother's fail has been ride or die based on like the moment Morgan collapsed, it was like the match is over within 20 seconds of that, right? So like, yeah, I think Morgan is starting to make a lot of sense. Then RA review you see? Brother. Okay. The fact that Night Sister and Merrick are my only R90 Inquisitors is incredibly funny to me. That's kind of cinema. To thine own self be true. But yeah, right? Like this is kind of where it's at for me, right? Malgus, it's like you could have the Malgus conversation. The problem is right now his job description is hard counter, blow some shit up solo. What is happening? Oh, this should move fast. Weird. All right. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, no. Morgan is just like Morgan makes sense. Balin makes sense. Malgus, until he gets a real job, I think you kind of lost me. Like, until people are out there actively trying to kill him, and it's not just him like bullying Zori posters and Boba posters. The moment that a Zori's team actually starts shooting him and he has to fear for his life, yeah, Malgus R10. Sure. He would literally benefit more from an R10 than like Sith-Eternal would, right? If we're talking like solo duties. Malgus R10, I'm kind of whatever on. Yeah, Quiggold, Vayne, make plenty of sense. Quiggold does not make sense. If you are just holding Maz on offense to shoot LV in the face, don't fucking R10 Quiggold. Bane on defense? Yeah, absolutely. Quiggold on defense? Yeah, probably. Like, if it turns out that the Maz is just getting hard countered by like Leia or GM or whatever, then maybe Quiggold is less easy to be enthusiastic about. If your Maz, like, if you think Maz is going to be attacked by Leia, no, sorry, not Leia, QA, and you have a like properly modded heavy health, heavy defense, not OP attacker cron meta tier squishies that Quiggold can actually, you know, try to do his job and hold the line, then R10 Quiggold I think can make some sense. Borga top to saying most of yeah, exactly. Like, look, man, is R10 smaller than R9? Yeah. This shit still helps. This shit still helps. This helps. This even helps. Right? Like, when I'm talking about shit that will have an impact, we are either trying to allow units to more easily turn into their alternate forms, or we are trying to give the people most desperate and like the most in the line of fire a little bit of extra juice to try to hold that line. So yeah, I think Morgan makes a lot of sense, but just broadly, but also like, hey, if I want to start exploring Great Mother's undersizing, which I think I do, R10 Morgan probably not going to be a bad thing to have. Past that, it's like, I mean, JTR for Rey is vaguely funny. Crew, if we were just in like a really savage Pirate King Hondo meta, and you're just like, if I R10 this crew, then I will more easily get a 57. Sure, give it to him. That's not my feeling right now. I think defense mods are doing more than fine for keeping him alive, and you just get the absolutely absurd Dark Ray bulk stacking on top. That shit just runs clean. I don't really feel the need to question it. But I mean, the use case is there, the question is there. Riva, I'm gonna assume that she still has the bad attacker scaling. She is a tank in name only. Mace, whatever, DTMG technically would fit the clause, but it's just so lowly tiered that kind of whatever. Bosk is faded. Fives, hard to really care about. Maybe in certain metas you would like run high tenacity in all the clones and try to bait Tuskens. Would be a funny thing you could maybe do, but you don't need R10 5s to do that. That would be like way down the line. R10 JTR, you would either run with like Watt or Tankron just to be a really shitty, annoying, sticky tank. It's kind of funny. Mostly those traps only tend to work against people who don't have the barrel Starkiller Omicron. Malik is kind of just Malgus, but with less reach. Like, not the worst in terms of stat game, but it's really just a question of use case. Like, my thought is, if I'm just doing, like, Bane Malik, do I care about Malik? Like, what the hope would, I guess, be that for having this, Bane would have a harder time actively killing your Malik? Is that a use case? It's not a non-existent use case, but I don't know if it's a strong use case. Pause. It's the ongoing issue of if we were having conversations about Morgan and Wrecker, Paz is like the opposite of them. Paz is the guy who cannot keep their attention consistently. Like, if Paz has Tankron or Watt, I actually think I could probably have some fun with an R10 Paz. But that's for a meta that doesn't exist. Oh man. Still trying to get over the illness. Kersen. I mean, it's tenacity. Tenacity, crit avoidance is all kind of nice. $225 would go to 235. Plus, I think you have the. So 285? It's like just at the line because we get 80 on top of this, right? I mean, if you're going hyper committal for the tenacity, you might be able to put some pressure on us that way. It's not going to be like top 10. It might not be in top 20, but I guess it's being like a top 30, maybe top 20, alongside Jabba. If I just want to, but the problem is like, look, man, if they're just How many people have tried to NS me at Div 3? Let's start there. Insight, 3v3, me, 3v3 defense. Click, Jabba. Alright, distribution of battles. 3 JMK, 1 Queen Amidala, and 2 Night Sister. So in that sense, and one of the Night Sisters actually got a hold on. Oh. I can't even say anything about that. That shot was probably just attacker run. But the whole point being, if we're trying to determine an investment's value and worth, if they're just doing JMK, y'all wasted your mats, more or less. So that's kind of the weirdness surrounding some of this, right? Like, part of why I got cold feet on R10 to the Eternal is just because it was just like, well, okay, I want an R10C specifically for the Jedi Master Mace matchup. What happens if people just stop posting it? Like, especially, it was more so like worrying about 5v5. And the idea that people might just stop posting Mace in 5v5 sometime soon is not that crazy of a thought to think. And so that it would just be like, alright, I have a R10C. For what purpose? But at this point, like, you know, we went back to C versus Ahsoka non-Bane today, or yesterday. And that felt pretty nice. So maybe there is stuff to consider in that respect. And topically along those lines, if there's something that I want to explore more. I know R10 Scion, or just Scion in general, seems kind of questionable, kind of scorned, just like not really used, but like Scion plus Set has been the staple for me for that Ahsoka matchup. I mean, hell, even the Tenacity and the Potency are in conversation, and the Crit Avoiders, right? You got the Tenacity, you got the bonus defense, same armor elevation that Wrecker got. This is actually decently considerable if I want to keep pursuing that counter. What's his base potency? Okay, so he'd be at 76% potency, and then I do not recall. Okay, so it's 60% on Seed Blade. It's like 130% potency, so you should be pretty consistent into a lot of matchups without even really having to mod for potency. I don't know. C versus Ahsoka is just extremely violent that I don't know if Relic 10 will make it possible to, like, try to save Scion exactly. But if it's possible, I don't know. This is a larger offense boost than I tend to see on, like, most of the relics. So that's not bad, at least. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's just because he has a massive base pool, so, like, the relative percentage might be roughly similar. Yes. Pretty much exactly what's happening there. Night Sister, nope. Pretty much unusable. GK. I do think JK and Chimera has some prospects, but unless a core Chimera counter was having to drill through GK, I don't think I see a point there. Who do you want exiled there? The reality is that both tanks get exiled and heal blocked more or less, so you don't really get a choice. Like if only one tank gets drilled with all the locked debuffs, you're lucky. But you have to expect that it's gonna happen to both. Vayne already talked about it. If Hondo is on defense getting SLK'd, probably stay away. The moment that people start trying to come in with off meta, I think he's a robust pick. I would say he's a higher tier pick than GL Hondo, just because you have to go through Vayne first. The only risk I would really say is his equalize can kind of cheat past him if you're not careful. Meta pending. R10 L3, I don't know. I use L3 probably more than a lot of players do, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm out here like chomping at the bit to do this. I mean, look, L3 Watt is something I have done in the past multiple times, and this would like maybe make that even sillier, but I don't know. I'm not gonna swat that. Zalbar, I feel roughly similar. I mean, the Omicron certainly tiers him a little bit higher than L3, but like, I don't know, man. I mean, how many we have had Zalbar go with Balin against like Great Mothers recently, and it was just like a check of how well he could live. It's like maybe there have been cases where like he is having to put his life on the line and getting killed on top. Armor plus 10 point. He goes up 0.5 points? What the fuck? Sir? Why? I don't know. He's still like not an immediate priority pick just for like relative lack of use case. If he's rolling with, I like Balin to me makes more sense. But like if he's rolling in Balin or something like that, sure. It would really just be a question of use case. Because I think in a lot of cases I'm going to be trying to Balin 3-man anyway, unless a tank is just like absolutely required. Temple Guard, look man, Mace to begin with is already like kind of adrift at sea. Doesn't really have a real use case. So I don't know. If Mace finds a purpose in life ever, then that will inform how I feel about Temple Guard, because right now, I mean, how am I supposed to know what to think about the team when the team doesn't know what to think about the team? Magna Guard, I tried, man. I fucking tried. I tried to make Grievous work when Staff came out. I tried giving R9 Grievous. I tried giving R9 Magna Guard. The team just needs like a 10% push. Like, Magna Guard, Magna Guard wants almost everything this gives. Crit avoidance, dope. Tenacity, dope. Potency, dope. Bulk, dope. Armor, weirdly enough, he also gets 0.5%. Statistically, this is fucking fantastic. Like, if we're judging R10 based on how much of a R10 the character uses, this character has insanely good coverage. But I can't tell you what he's going to be out there beating. So it's hard for me to be like, man, I gotta go out there and get this shit right now. Scorch, if he's just getting posted with LV and getting mozzed, I don't think it matters. You know, we did use him with Tarkin, and he did have some check in his life that, like, maybe for 3v3 meta, there was something to be said for that. Mid, maybe trending towards mid-high. K2, nah. Wrecker, a relic from a more civilized age. Kanan, basically unusable. Stormtrooper Han, right there alongside him. Just, there's a world where Leia didn't have Jyn, and Leia actually had to bring tanks with her, and then those two would be having a conversation right now. That era doesn't exist. Faust, it's like crew, but sometimes you run him instead. More or less just the same tiering. Railguard doesn't exist anymore. Baze Malvis, I feel like, I don't know, I haven't really had, like, Saw is just so fucking temperamental with his tanks. Baze, I've never really had, like, risking his life, really, that I can think of. Right? He's a pre-taunt at the start of battle, and then he just basically becomes, like, a soft support. Old Ben, I would relic 10 him if it lowered his cooldowns, but for now, the best thing he can do is push this button once, and then I try to see if he can die. That's, like, all I really care about for Old Ben. I do not want to relic this man up. In fact, I wish he was, like, relic 5. Gar, it would literally just be for, like, trying to push relic Delta, I guess. I got fucking jump scared by the relic 9 numbers. I forgot what that felt like. For tanks. Kind of insane. Vandern. Maybe in another life. Maybe one dash lead ever makes a revival. Slash. I mean, to be revived, you have to be alive in the first place, right? Finn, look, man, if Zori ever tries to go legit, there will come a time and point where Finn actually needs to be a proper capital T tank. And when that day comes, that will make Finn considerable by necessity. But like, I'm probably gonna be giving some relics to my Zori squad soon, and it's gonna be to like Resistance 0 Finn, Resistance 0 Poe. Because those characters are squishy as shit and need the help. Rose you could cheat with, Finn you could cheat with, Zori you could cheat with. Yeah. Set, basically see everything that I said with Sign. Shore has really fucking fallen off as Item fell off. Phalanx, I really don't care about. Like, the nature of Gungans is like, if their generator is up, you don't care about their survivability anyway. And if their generator is down, you don't care about their survivability anyway because they're just gonna get fucked. So it's like, in either case, yeah, I kind of don't really see any point in investing in a Gungan tank. Storm is like short but less impactful. Plo, nope. Holdo, not really. Zeb, nope. We're kind of past that point, right? Obligatory Zuckus, a bug mention. Alright, that's it for tanks. Where were we? We more or less talked about Balin and Mace. Marin, already did it, already talked about it. Just uses almost all of Relic 10 extremely well. Potency, tenacity, crit avoidance, even crit chance technically. It all helps. Jedi Knight Cal, I was pretty bullish on a fairly early R9 Cal for the health broadly, for the crossguard. But the health gains here are just incredibly small. You would only really do this, I guess, if you just, like, her. Well, my JMO is R10, so I want to make sure that the R10 gets the most R10-ness out of it, so I'm gonna make my Cal R10 so that I can always call him to assist with their posts. And I will have my maximum Jedi Lessons damage output. That's, like, the only vision I see for it. Maz, like, made a call, but she doesn't need this for poaching LV, and she probably doesn't need this shit for just, like, destroying Swazi Treya either. Alright, the crit chances to get overridden by Prophet, that kind of who cares, so this is really just about tenacity, armor, crit avoidance, more than anything else. Dark Ray. I am going to assume that she has attacker syndrome and doesn't really gain much. Auto 40 offense. Yep, check. Armor, not that good. Yep, check. Crit avoidance, kind of irrelevant for first order in a lot of cases. Yeah, it would be like if this ever makes sense for, like, I mean, JMK, like, literally does vulnerable. So, like, the crit avoidance isn't even an angle. I don't know, it's too narrow. I don't think it's real. The appeal system is so bad, you question if it's even done by humans. What appeal system? A mall. Isn't Maul's crit chance, like, it's a little bit annoying. You do have to try to make sure that he stays at 100% for the basic crits in some use cases, but I don't think he uses it that well. Omega is simultaneously, I would say it's a luxury, right? It's largely here for this, just so that in situations where you're hyper debuff, you can get more cooldown cycle. It hits this so that you just have more passive Health and protection regen, just more passive bulk, just means that your team is more effectively bulky. Going from R9 to R10 being only 0.5% per turn, so like if record falls below 100% health and 4 people take bonus turns, that's 2% health and protection. Is it a bar burner? No. Which is why I call it a luxury, but like certainly that could all add up. Especially if we're talking about a R10 wrecker on top. R9 BKM. This might sound weird to say, but BKM's damage output is so limited that, like, at some point, if you are trying to stretch the limits of BKM, you literally have no choice but to R10 her. Because what the fuck are you going to do? Mod for offense? Ancestral doesn't scale with offense. Ancestral scales with Relic Delta. So if you have an R10 BKM, that will increase your Ancestral by 5%. Ooh. That shit does not sound very real to me, but like, you know, if the use case ever arises, I'm not gonna say never. Mace, see the Temple Guard description. Malicos, I mean, look, man, Malicos obviously gets horrible survivability gains off of this, and yet Malicos is Mr. If I die, then we all do. That, like, I'm not saying that this is a high priority, this is a mid priority, but that slight bit of extra armor and that slight bit of crit avoidance would be why I do it. Because I have not played Seer on offense that much, but what I can tell you is when this man goes, you're match over. You're done. So, like, even though it's incredibly small impacts, the possible 5% damage reduction on Relic Delta, the very minor health and protection gains, the minor armor gains, and the 10% crit avoidance, that's why I would possibly apply this. Should we just do this from in here? Ben Solo. Weirdly enough, I thought about this like in the last couple days. It's not an immediate for me, but Ben Solo actually needs the crit chance help. He's got like 45% crit chance. Ben Solo is actually kind of one of those. It really depends though. Like you have to play with like if you tell me, hey, R10 Ben during a weakest TM or a light side TM meta, I could be on board, but it's unfortunate because he does this first, he doesn't do this first. For crit chance Ben, you want him to do this move. Like, obviously, if you could do this and then get to this, it's ideal, because I think it gives some offense up, but, like, fundamentally. I'm gonna say mid-high conditional if you are planning to sauce it up. If you're posting a plain-ass raid team that dies to Starkiller and you R10 your Ben and making no other changes, you wasted an R10. If you are thinking about, like, turbo crit chance damage Ben Solo, R10 might actually be of some use to try to help this number out. Afra, I mean, it's a decent armor number. She uses the potency, she uses tenacity, she will use the crit avoidance as well. It's not bad. She's really kind of hamstrung by use case. We will see how things go when IG90 releases. It's entirely possible that IG90 will be better than I think he will be. Colosseum is kind of changing my view on the character slightly. For all the bitching and moaning I did... oh, he's not here, is it? For all the bitching and moaning I did... like... yes, the team normally has 6 members, but if I'm doing Afra undersizing, does this not start to get a lot more value? Ajane is one of your favorite Colosseum characters right now. For me as well. Coliseum has made him earn my respects in some respects. So I'm keeping an open mind. And to that end, if I am, Arten Afra could hold some value. Especially if we're just the same conversation as having with Luthen or Amidala. Afra's summon is becoming the tank with IG-90. Afra might actually just be a high tier. The only reason why I feel uncomfortable saying that is because there's no clear use case paved out. We literally cannot even play the team to try it at the moment. But if Afra finds a place where she makes sense, then the R10 makes sense along with her. Like, a lot of sense. Like, probably top 5 for just using every stat, right? Armor, dope. Avoidance, dope. Potency, dope. Tenacity, dope. Like, it's good. It all pretty much all hits. GTMG, we already talked about. Jar Jar, I guess, come back when Relic 12 exists. Because it has to be a multiple of 3, right? Bane, I kind of view as similar to SLK. I'm not going to care about it until a fucked up team comes along that only Bane can solve, and then I will probably end up giving him R10. Jocasta, I just don't think it makes sense. Like, in question of use case. I don't hate this team. I don't hate this character. It's just hard to find a place to use them right now. Jedi Vanguard kind of already needs a lifter. Cat. If I am JMK undersizing, it's just not, like, yeah, isn't this, yeah, it's special damage, and her crit chance technically isn't great, but very often you just have vulnerable on them anyway. If I'm doing it, it's gonna be just, like, for delta damage reduction, because I'm trying to do, like, some 2v5 or 3v5 shit. SM33, like, increases his bulk and offense, but on average, I will say it does appear that strength attackers get a marginally better amount of offense. It looks like about 225 versus 140. Not insanely higher, but higher. It's not nothing. Bosk. Revan, I see zero reason. Unless you're just on, like, crit avoidance copium. Revan is just insanely squishy. He's an attacker, so the gains are bad. Like, even at R10, he's still squishy as hell. It would have to be, like, JML going into some insane matchup and only R10 Revan. Like, it's not even R10 Revan to keep him alive, it's R10 Revan to try to maximize the chances of keeping him alive, would have to be the scenario. Darth Vader. I mean, fuck, man. Like, I guess when you stop and think about it, the whole entire thing about Darth Vader modding was like, what does the man want? He wants crit chance and potency. We'll have that conversation when Afra and IG-90 come out, and, like, in theory, potency and crit chance are R10 specialties. It's what Vader was looking for, but I would not call it an immediate priority. CLS, fuck, man. The team just hasn't had use cases in forever, but, like, literally the two things that I associate with this character are tenacity and crit avoidance. And fuck, dude, I've been using him in the last couple months in 3v3 still, because people post dog shit teams like Enoch on me. So if I see the Enoch, I gotta use my boy. I gotta give it to him. You gotta do it to him. Low mid just on sole use case alone, but solid uses of stats. Right, you got the tenacity, the crit avoid, and then Chupio shares it. Hard to be mad at that. Reva, attacker, so bad usage relative to roll. GI, low priority attacker. OG Hondo, I don't see much point in considering it. JKL, same thing. Attacker, just local usage of it. He's a strength attacker, so it's like slightly better offense gains, but I still just don't see much points. Wampa, I mean, the crit avoidance, the tenacity, the potency are all relevant. It's just really a question of, am I seeing matchups that Wampa could do anymore? Which sometimes we do, but the problem is, even when we do Wampa fights for fun or science, very often he is, or she is, getting walloped in a way that I don't think Relic Delta would actually be a close enough margin call. Maybe the crit avoidance opens the window to like a fun little like CA arrow splash experiment. But for now, yeah, not really on it. Tarkin. This was the character that I thought about the last day or two. It gives him the crit chance, which he needs badly. It gives him potency. The armor gains are apparently nuts. He gains 0.7%. I'm not saying I'm going to be doing this immediately, but this might be like a top 15. It makes very good usage of the stats. You have good crit avoidance, very nice armor gains. He uses the potency. He uses the crit chance. If we are trying to take Tarkin seriously in 3v3, this is hitting on a lot of shit. I feel weird for even saying it, but it is true, right? The thing kind of stopping him from being hyper effective is his abysmal crit chance. And the potency is just mild value on top. Yeah, just a good user of the stats. Bam, same feeling as BKM, just broadly. If you are trying to increase your ancestral damage, maybe consider it. Already chatted. Yeah. R2. Comment analysis stat share is kind of just bait or number crunch stat share. Like he shares his potency. R2 is a solid one? I don't know, man. This is no hit on R2, it's just like protection, offense, health, and potency. It's just not like, do I really care about potency on the Leia squad? The protection gains aren't that high. Offense gain is not high, so it's like, I don't think R2 is that great. EP, I don't see much point. I R9'd EP happily for the bulk. I guess it's still a decent amount that, like, if the Ray matchup ever demanded it from me, I would do it. But right now, the Ray matchup does not demand it from me. Attacker Chron was way too big for R10 to ever matter, and now current meta R9 is just fine. Grievous. I tried the stat plus R9. It didn't work. It's not gonna happen. We have had some very close Grievous fights, but the problem is they are just a fucking mess. Even in the best case scenario, they are, by definition, spirals into an extreme mess, which means that it's only really a team that you can use for fun. Yoda pretty much tiers alongside Qui-Gon that, like, he would do it for the crit chance, broadly. QA, you would do it for the decoy, for the health and protection and armor. And I think crit avoidance inherits as well. But don't quote me on that last one. Yeah, if QA was ever under like some serious damage pressure, I would apply this. For right now, for the ways that I've been using QA and the matchups that I've been using her in, like just having good defense and bulk on QA has already been enough that I don't really feel the need to have or run out more on top. Radis, in another life, man. Like in theory, it would help him try to just stay alive and be the guy longer, but if we are already talking about teams having a questionable use case, this is already exacerbated. KB is an attacker, so he's not going to use it that well. Star Killer. I would only, I guess, ever really think of him for maybe the accuracy, maybe slight armor and bulk gains, but like, yeah, it's attacker privilege or lack thereof for R10. Right. Not a high priority. Low mid. High mid, already talked. Enoch. I mean, the tenacity vaguely, but like Enoch just doesn't really have that many major use cases I'm aware of. I'm not really that pressed on it. He wouldn't be the worst person to give R10, but he wouldn't be the best either. No. Not really, but maybe you wouldn't hate it. Kix is kind of the guy. And also, Kix tends to seem to get shot a lot for whatever reason. So the idea of giving him just like slightly more bulk, whatever. Oh, it's because he's a healer. Healer, for those of you who don't know, healers get less in support. Healer is basically equal to attacker, unfortunately. Okay, that's unfortunate. So yeah, slight boost to armor, solid crit avoid, 7-ish K bulk is about all you're looking at. Not a bad investment. Again, I've had Kix get pressured a lot. I have had Kix die or come very close a lot. Already talked. Not much points. I'm going to say not much point. Saw bomb damage has already proven out to just be kind of bait, even if you have an R9 saw with heavy health. All that good shit is just not really, you know. Nah. Probably not. I mean, DTT is like a major death liability, but he's only a support, so the gains aren't insane. The armor sliver is decent. The crit wins, so like, I mean, typically you would expect him to not be critable under LV, but maybe with Tarkin. I'm going to say low mid, maybe trending towards mid. DCT just dies a fuck ton, and so like, his killability could point towards R10 maybe trying to help him fix that issue. GM. I mean, look, man, GM are very rarely getting tested on bulk unless Morgan is dead. And at that point, if Morgan is dead, I feel like R10 GM would just be like contingency, just trying to like slug it out and brawl it out. Not terrible. Obviously, Morgan is way, way, way higher priority. Like, giving GM R10 or even R9 feels like planning to fail, essentially. So, I will say mid-tier. Sometimes your Morgan is just going to die. Omega, really don't feel like I need it. If I did it, it would just be like for accuracy if I'm like countering Hondo. That's all it really is. She does not need anything else. Maybe you want the tenacity in some respects, just as convenience. Talked about fake unit, not really that real. Hunter, I don't see a reason. Crit avoidance doesn't matter because you're already critically avoidance. The armor chunk is decent at 0.4%. Maybe if you just feel that you're taking heavy AoE pressure and the boy just needs to live. But he has a high enough base speed compared to the rest of the squad that usually he's on 3x defense anyway. It would have to be a very weirdly specific situation for me to feel like R10 Hunter is important. Healer, same issue. Like, in theory, we could talk about Jolie getting both critical avoidance and tenacity being a neat thing, but yeah, it's 3,000 health, 4,000 protection is just kind of tiny. Yeah, her crit just is fun. I mean, again, if I'm doing a lot of like Balin 3v5s, this is probably just inevitably something that I end up thinking about just to try to decrease risk on undersizing matchups. But I would say that this is mid, trending towards high mid if I'm undersizing. This is kind of like equal to POW in my mind of like, am I doing QA 3v5s? Yes. Okay, probably want to give us a POW. Am I doing QA 4v5s? Yes. Okay, I'm going to be running Cam. I'm going to want Master Qui-Gon to be R10, not Shin or POW. Fennec, just kind of past their prime, no real use case. Maybe with new Asajj. Hux, I mean, Hux has always kind of been on tenacity, has always kind of been on crit avoid, gets a solid chunk of armor. But I have a hard time believing that this will like fix things for him. I tend to imagine the boy will just always be a little bit squishy. It's kind of shocking to see certain characters just get a fat fucking jump in armor, though. What's up with that? I guess just because their base is so low, probably. Interesting. Silvo, I don't see much purpose. Like, he's got evasion mastery, but if it's like Ezra, yeah, it's just 2%. Not even, it's 1.75. Next. I remember this being bad, that like if you're ever in a situation where you aren't guaranteed, then I guess it would help you get closer to 100. Otherwise, next. I mean, never say never, but the woman hasn't even made sense for R9 for me yet. It's the nature of Seer Malicos, right? Seer or anyone not named Malicos is never really who you're worried about because you have the savior mechanic for them. Now, I guess in some Seer Malicos fights, we did actually have Hondo just like shoot someone like Seer and consume the savior that you were at risk. So maybe it's actually not that inconsiderable that maybe if you're doing Malicos, you would also just want to like work on everyone around that time just to try to like rising tide lifts all ships, like make your Malicos team less vulnerable. But yeah, not really immediate priority. Chewbacca team just doesn't really get used. Talon, she needs the crit chance, but not that badly. Especially not anymore. Talon would really just be for trying to min-max and push the margins on, like, modding. Trending towards luxury, but if she's undersizing, you know, luxury is also just, like, about trying to increase safety, decrease risk. Boss Nass, I mean, you wouldn't mind having the potency, right? But low priority to me. General Syndulla. This actually might be a mid, trending mid-high. Especially in support crop meta. I mean, but again, this is kind of just a question of what's being used to counter them, right? Decent chunk of armor. I like the crit avoid. don't think she's insane, but I think she sounds nice to have. If I'm thinking of, like, ways that I would try to build her to try to mess with people. Sounds plausible. Batman just doesn't really see genuine use as a lead, so she's really just a machine for JMK. Probably doesn't need the R10. Zori, I wouldn't really say anyone on Zori really needs R10. Certainly not her. Just tends to be very safe. Asajj, it would just like vaguely be for potency, and even though that's not really what I do Asajj for. I don't want to increase her dodge chance. Like, I do think it will be nice to keep Asajj vaguely within delta range of Java, just so that she can not get bulk ego checked. But 8 versus 10 would be fun. I'm fine with it. It's more so the Delta 3 or Delta 4. You know, Delta 3, if they had just like a really good defense set, would probably be like, I don't, you know, we would need to be stacking Asajj at that point. Embos, whatever to me, Crosshair, decently high priority due to the accuracy. Hits a very specific theory craft, but I'm not going to say that's like a general peel thing. It's very niche to how I play this team. I mean, he scales ratio slightly on like his relic levels. It's not a barn burner. It will be neat to have, but I will point out as well that the way Bad Batch plays, doing more damage can actually backfire. Doing more damage can actually equal less crosshair turn meter, which equals, like, if you would have killed the guy in 3 hits, like, let's say you are running Bad Batch 2 with Omega, and you use this move and you call Omega to assist, and let's say this move then one-shots the person, you just lost 30% crosshair turn meter because now Omega can't hit that guy that he's already dead. So having this do more damage is not necessarily excellent, but obviously the 10% accuracy would help try to get him online sooner. That's really the biggest thing. Combo that with an accuracy arrow. His self-cast is a -6 stacks. 10% accuracy arrow, 30%. That puts you at a negative 100%. And then Hunter Mark is minus 100%. So the R10 just gets you consistent guaranteed hits. And that's a pretty cool thing. DTP whatever, Grogu, healer cron issue, POW, mostly just undersize, risk relief considerations. Savage does have some crit chance woes, but again, it's a manageable amount. That would just be kind of for luxury convenience to make him less crit chance hungry to let those mods move elsewhere. Fulcrum has a special place in my heart, but I really don't think I see it here. I mean, 10% crit avoidance, doesn't she have someone unique? Am I crazy? I guess it's no, yeah, no, and gains 30% crit avoidance. So, like, you know, I guess you have 30 on unique, you run 30 on cron, you get 10% here. It's cute. You could do worse. Not the worst user, not the best user. Why do I feel very disoriented? It feels like the order just got shaken up. Now that looks normal. Master Qui-Gon, you'll already know. If you are running Queen Amidala with Cam, or, well, okay, to be specifically clear, if you are running Queen Amidala with more than 3 people, your 4th should be Cam. If you are running Queen Amidala with Cam, R10 Master Qui-Gon is a very good investment. Get that crit chance up, get that special crit chance up, get that man critting more often so they can be the god that he wants to be. In my case, I am doing a lot of Queen Amidala undersized 3v5s. So unfortunately, that does mean, I mean, well, it would still be good to having him crit, right? You're just not getting the insane offense boost that Cam provides, but it would still be probably decent to help him out. It's just less of a priority. That it's not like a top 5 thing for me. Maybe probably trending towards like top 10, top 15 sort of situation. Sortie just never really had a proper use case in a lot of cases. Tenacity is relevant to Sortie. Crit Avoidance is kind of relevant to Sortie. It just... yeah. Super Trooper. Isn't Super Trooper's crit chance kind of bad? 55% base crit chance? This is like kind of almost within range. Arden Red, if I was ever like taking him super seriously, that's within range. Right? 45% crit chance is kind of a pain to hit. It's doable, to be sure, but that's kind of at that sweet spot of I wish I didn't have to. All right. Snips, same as Cat. Like if I'm doing JMK undersizes, that might pressure me into applying this just to try to keep as relatively safe and undamaged as possible. Brutus, I mean, he has a lot of armor pen already, that the armor pen here isn't really going to make much difference. Bears I'm ambivalent about. Armor, health, and health stat. I mean, it's just not that much for having armor mastery either. See Maliko's a new team becoming a priority once FTP Kron goes away. Might be the main barking Hondo counter. I mean, that's the sort of logic that I try to operate in. Like, that's a good way to be looking at it. I do think SLK will continue to win even without the FO Crons, for whatever that's worth. But, you know, if people try to build an appetite for Malikos, that is very much how I'd be looking to address it. Both inside that team and against that team. Kyle, weirdly enough, his potency is dog shit, his crit chance is dog shit. He wouldn't mind having the potency either. It's really just a relative, like, I barely ever use Kyle Katarn that much that I don't have a strong association for where I'd use him. But in terms of R10 usage, yeah, he actually would use R10 pretty decently well. Like, his potency's always been awful. The better offense gains, that's the strength attacker. But the extra, I think it's like 85. He would use it pretty fun. I mean, it's slightly counterintuitive to give him crit avoidance. But I mean, yeah, you would be happy to have him have tenacity. You'd be happy to have him have crit avoidance. Maybe just sneak those stats in on the mods on top. I don't hate it. You could work with that. Captain Rex. Yeah, I mean, tenacity, potency, it's all been dealt with everyone. Chieftain. Look, man. A while ago, I want to made a case for Tuskens. Tuskens just have so many predators printed now. They are just not what they used to be in, so I see no real point in considering it. Scout Trooper. Nah. Tusken Warriors, see prior but less usable. Mara, I am fucked, man. Mara potency, Mara accuracy. It actually technically is in the conversation if Starkiller has a future. She does make some usage. Right? My Mara has an accuracy arrow, but that accuracy arrow does not cover all of Ezra's evasion, I believe. Yeah. The Arton would help that. King named J. Roos, where you talk about Luthen. I've gotten slightly cold feet on Luthen just because of how small the damage gains are. Like, the crit avoidance, I believe, does transfer. The armor is nice. The bulk is okay. The offense is not that great. The crit chance we don't really use. Yeah, this will be like a top 10, top 15. It's not a top 5er for me. Yeah, our crit chance is fine. Low priority. Like, does she tend to get focused fairly often? Yes, but the squads doing it are not going to struggle. I mean, BSF, I know my BSF has always had crit avoidance on her, as well as some tenacity and some potency, so in theory she has good usage. It's just not a commonly cared for character much anymore. Bausch. I mean, it's crit chance and its potency, right? Well, isn't her crit chance like kind of covered? She gets like 20% for free, right? I believe. Yeah, she gets 20% here. So she only needs like 80 unless you're trying to cover for crit avoidance. I don't know. I would say that's mid tier. Crit chance, potency, technically even tenacity, but most Bausches aren't really modding to try to check tenacity. 77% is not awful, but it's not necessarily enough to stand your ground with. We are kind of past the point of discussable people. I mean, Cam does have bad crit chance. That is true. He could be a Cam did it. And he can bad crit chance, but and also he did kind of run potency back in the day. BT1 certainly would be interested in crit chance and accuracy and potency. I mean, he's straight attacker, right? So he already has the accuracy, but crit chance still certainly. BT1 is a decently high tier pick. Like, if I'm considering Afra, I might do BT1 first. A lot of the units here are like not really in necessary conversation. Maybe you consider R10 Spirit if you're like, if people start trying to crit avoidance your Spirit, you know, maybe then. Well, fuck, I'm actually kind of shocked at how long that took to go through everything. I said Rose, so she's not baby soft anymore? What are you talking about? Rose has infinite mod budget. If your Rose is baby soft, that means that your mods are baby soft. My Rose has always just been like triple defense at bulk primaries, because she gains infinite turn meter and she doesn't have to do damage. So what the hell is she gonna do? Well, shit, that was supposed to just be like a precursor topic. That was just supposed to be a short topic, but it's been 2 hours. I mean, more or less, I was hoping to just like go through this and draft squads and try to figure out what cron they were gonna want. I am kind of starting to lose my voice. insert generics here. Churros away from Baby Soft. Damn. We have the technology. I think in my Rose's case, I think I have health sets over defense sets just because I'm solely worried about surviving rails. But to be completely frank with you, the people worried about surviving rails, it's not Rose. It's the resistance zero bros because they're so fucking squishy. Alright. Well, that doesn't feel right. Why two Omegas together? Because that is the best way to run the squad. By a mile. Ranking out of someone that goes in the mod squad? No, I don't think so. I mean, swap Brutus is announcement 33, I guess. In my mind, there was one extra straggler hanging on top, but I guess not. Alright, I'm not going to do the full thing. Let's just say... I'm going to use that. 4, 8, 12, 16, 19. Is it cheating to put up Marin? This list feels very dark side heavy, weirdly enough. Like, he exists but doesn't always get used. She exists but always doesn't get used. Gungans, sure, usually get used. I can put up Jedi Vanguard, but I really don't feel like they are worth a mention. Alright. Let's see. Jabba. I think Jabba maybe just sticks on Attacker Cron for the true damage pressure on Marin. Support just helps Night Sisters way too much. It basically just gives Night Sisters free wins. I think we'll stick Attacker. I don't think Tank really adds anything. Yeah. I don't know if like Tank would maybe try to be interesting for GK or JMK at all, but like, look, man, if they just play for JMK early ult and do Bausch, like it's kind of just over, is it not? I mean, Dark Side debuffs would be not that great. Maybe with Bobo over Embo. Light Side Bulk also not that great. Light Side TM is like maybe interesting, but kind of not really. Maybe cut Skiff or Boba and run Dark Side Amp Bag, but I don't know, probably just like Light Side TM preload. What's that for Jabba do I think? I don't entirely remember the full stat pool. I mean, ideally would be Tenacity, right? But the problem with doing Tenacity is that potency, right? Tenacity is 10 to 25, potency is 15 to 35. It gets even more cartoonish here. Tenacity is 35 to 45, potency is 50 to 75. Like, if I'm doing Jabba, am I just running Attacker Cron with a high Tenacity Cron? Yeah, that would probably be my ideal. Lazy Night Sisters might fall for it, but like, it wouldn't be that hard to just game with potency against good players. All right, JMK. Obviously, Light Side Book 3. Support Cron is weird. Because you're not getting that crit that much to begin with. Not to say that it never happens, like the protection up does tend to wear off. But he doesn't actually get that much of an in. Tank Cron for the tank revive? GM blocks revives. Stuff like JML ignores protection up. I am not sure where to take this. Maybe you try to just grab a healer draft to like pressure stuff like BKM. But doesn't BKM kind of mess with the rules? BKM can kind of circumvent healing immunity, right? By gaining Ancestral, which increases the max health pool, which you could be like heal blocked at 60%, but if you increase your Ancestral, your percentage gets back towards 100% with the new increased pool, if I remember right. But yeah, like maybe like a healer cron could make sense. But whom? Oh god. He's such low impact, man. But it would satisfy the conditions. That's okay. He's fucking around with his crown for now. Is he going to stay on offense when set 14 ends? Like, is he just the Hondo man? Or I guess once Hondo loses Pyrocrons, maybe Hondo can be dealt with more cheaply, more consistently. Um, I mean, if you could get away with support Kron, that would actually probably feel phenomenal. Right, you've got 2 attacker, you've got 2 tank, potentially. Literally just need to make sure Huck stays alive. This does not sound bad for a support Kron. I mean, you could, like, dark side one of the fucking things, but frankly, I would almost rather just have it be a light side in case I need to use it anywhere else. Like, what the heck am I gonna care? I mean, stun equals 10% regen would not be awful technically. Dark side basic equals speed up is actually not that bad. I will give it that. Probably dark side basic will speed up for SLK. I mean, maybe you would do attacker Kron if you just want the taunt ignore. But yeah, I like the idea of Hux in the pocket with just 2. Obviously, the tanks aren't getting crit that much, but like depending on how you're planning to use them, they are getting crit sometimes. CD armor pen for SLK. I would probably lean towards health. Health and protection is fine. Like, very rarely have I played an SLK match where I said, damn, I wish my Kron had more damage. Usually you are saying, damn, I wish I had more survivability. Sith Eternal. It's probably attacker 6. I mean, tank is nice, but at the end of the day, the tanks are gonna die. We just need to have enough damage to be able to kill Ahsoka. See, this is interesting. This could be a support Kron angle, but support Kron shuts off the moment a support dies. So if General Sedula just dies, like, you no longer have support Kron. Obviously, LS team is in conversation with GM, but for me personally, I'm not necessarily recommending other people do this. I might lean towards bulk. I just go full ego check route until proven otherwise. Obviously, LSTM would be a fine fallback, but man, this is really hard to do annotation for. I can't do like plus slash. Look at anything. I mean, Leia for me right now is just Ahsoka hunting on offense. That I don't think this matters too terribly as long as you have LSDM. Leia on Divas would be a different conversation. Leia on Divas would probably be bulk plus maybe tank. Support would be kind of interesting on defense. But you're not getting crit that much because of their stupid crit avoidance rules. You actually don't get that much value out of it. I'm not sure. Like, on defense, maybe support run is interesting, but I'm mainly thinking about, like, Reva Deathmark bullshit. Ray, I don't fucking know, man. I honestly might just try some shit like this. Either tank or support. I mean, you could try LSTM with an aggressive bet in some cases. Why not Barrows with Ray? It's just such a passive way to play. People are used to dealing with it by now. I don't know if or where I plan to use Barrows. I mean, I plan to use Barrows as, like, because there's still the whole Healercron chip route that I do remember exists, but I'll have to figure out how committal I want to go with that. I mean, Vayne with support Cron Claws sounds pretty funny to me. But that might be overkill. Attacker isn't doing too terribly much for us here. It would help push Brutus slightly, I guess. I think I'm probably letting Attacker just for the taunt ignore. It's none of them feel awesome. Like when I'm thinking of shit like, you know, does Tank Kron sound good if Malikos is just ignoring taunts? Not really. Does support Kron sound great for similar reasons? Not really. We don't really have a healer here. Bad Batch is pretty customizable here. Bad Batch should go a few ways. I'm probably going to try bulk tank, but certainly Attacker Kron has some appeal. I mean, fuck, man. Even support Kron, right? Solo Wrecker solo tank with support Kron backing it. It's probably not bad either. Like, this is very much toolbox. You could actually go just, like, try all three. Nooch. Maybe the raid, man. Welcome, everyone. We are going down the lists, trying to figure out what teams might be interested in what now that Roll Crowns are possibly bounced. Yeah, certifiable. Is this support Kron? I don't know, man. I tend to be so fearful of how much damage Balin and Shin take. Support Kron does not sound awful. My green background mood? How do you mean? Oh, that's an optical illusion. That's not behind me. That's actually the monitor just sneaking up. SIE app. Thank you. I think I'm leaning support. I mean, attacker Balin reviving with a tank. I don't think they block self revives. That this might be just like Bad Batch. It might just be a situational case basis, but I do think support sounds interesting. I guess the real question is if we're drafting this for Balin on defense, which I don't know that I'm necessarily posting him, but actually isn't this more about the level 9 for Balin specifically? Because isn't there an assist cron that you would kind of need to pressure Gungan generators if you're gonna have that conversation? Yeah, you're like probably in the market for Cad Bane. Very legible notation. Everyone will definitely know what that means. Okay. I don't think you can really go wrong here as long as you just have good protection rules. I mean, I kind of enjoy the healer cron, to be honest. More than a couple of times so far have we been like, man, JMO would been so much nicer here if we have inevitability with the locked heal immunity. I tend to lean healer. Like, obviously, tank cron, he assists. Attacker cron, you get the extra true damage. Both of those things are nice to have. Support cron certainly would not hurt for helping energy management. Cut and dry. Is it weird that I should kind of like my Seer a little bit aggressive? I mean, this could be like a JTR Maul situation, I guess. I don't feel that strongly about this Ray squad, to be clear. This is more so just apathy towards what to do with Ray otherwise. I mean, maybe I could run like Ray with Turbo Ben, LSTM, Barris, and cut JTR down as here. The decoy can't really use support or tank that well. We don't have a healer. It's just going to be attacker cron for the most part. And it's mostly just going to be me using these three. If you do run cam, whether you're doing a 4-man or a 5-man with GMY, do try to make sure that you get LS. I mean, just for if anyone wants to use this. Like, really, this is what it comes down to, right? Because bulk 3 becomes a fuck ton of extra offense for Qui-Gon and Yoda if Cam is present. I might stick with attacker for these kids. I mean, we get the taunt ignore already. The damage is already quite good. I feel like it might not be that good. I feel like this is probably support. Again, we were talking earlier about Morgan being put through her trials. This is probably just attacker, right? At least if we're talking for countering Ray. Well, those can literally only be attacker or a tank. Is the idea of Malik taunting kind of sick? Oh yeah, we didn't really talk about stats. It's the fucking problem of the name character count is so fucking short. Attacker by sheer virtue of what the fuck else are you supposed to do? You have 4 attackers. Go attack. Alright. Stats. Tenacity, health almost certainly. Favoring health but protection also welcome. Crit damage broadly. If it's support and we're fighting Leia, we would absolutely want to be health. Leia, broadly health. Speed support. I would be looking for some decent crit chance, a lot of crit damage, health welcome, protection welcome. But yeah, it depends on how hard we're leaning on support. I mean, if we go too hard on health, I guess maybe people would try to get in, but we could just run Savagely, so it gives a fuck. Yeah, I think Savage lead with health could be interesting. Yeah, probably leading health. Health, crit chance, crit damage. Protection acceptable if it exists. Crit chance, crit damage? Broadly, depending on what the rest of the Ray team looks like. If I'm just going for aggressive Ben, otherwise it's just slam health if going for support, probably. I think you're supposed to lean health if you're trying to deal with Malicos or Prosts. Otherwise, protection fine. I mean, health Datacron is supposed to be better for this, right? But yeah, I do not think that's just going to matter. I think Maz is just going to drill you. Protection versus health with Bad Batch is always situational, depending on what you're planning to fight. Protection default is good, but if you're fighting some shit like Great Mothers, that shuts off your protection and focuses on your health, or if you're fighting like Queen of Madala, obviously POW is ignoring your protection. That shit can matter. So Bad Batch, weirdly enough, I think would like to toolkit and like protection or health based on what you run into. Balin, I think default protection sounds good. We talked about Balin versus Jim at one point, so that would be something to keep an eye on. But if, you know, whatever, if we run into a GM, I would hopefully have a health cron handy. Protection, of course. Protection for LV matchup, I'd imagine. Protection default standing, yep. Crit chance, crit damage. I mean, protection or health will help Queen Amidala, but especially if we're talking the 3-man undersize. If you are planning to use Cam, crit chance, crit damage, health are all quite good. I'll say support. Crit damage, because crit damage is shared, would be the number one focus for me here. Protection, broadly. Crit damage, maybe a little bit of armor pen. Protection, maybe some health, but I don't really tend to care about Bane's health damage. She's just going to ramp it anyway. Broadly, probably crit damage armor pen. And yeah, crit damage armor pen. So not actually running into that many bulk statters, I feel like, so far. Which isn't really what I had in mind for the set. Dude, my defense is so dark side centric. Am I crazy? Is that actually what's happening? Dark, dark, dark. Well, Inquest is not gonna be a deuce anymore. Dark, dark. Motherfucker, how am I supposed to run light side TM? Or let's say bulk. The shit is all dark. The fuck am I supposed to do here? What do you mean? I was very interested and engaged in the idea of trying to go heavy defense with high stack runs with light side bulk. But my entire defense is fucking dark side. How am I supposed to... Just forcing light side of defense to try to see if it does anything. We just having to switch the style up. Weird. I'm not sure. Alright. I'll try to keep that in mind. I'm honestly not feeling too hot at the moment. I'm still kind of trying to get over what I'm getting over. Just kind of drifting off in the middle there. Not for boredom, but just low on energy. Yeah. That is broadly it on thoughts. Holy shit. I am apparently just a dark-sided motherfucker. Fuck, man. Maybe that's a warning sign, a wake-up call. Little did I know. Top 5 arts on to-do lists. Here's where I'm at. Darth Revan and Luke were not my choices. Marin was my first. Wrecker was my second. Treo was my third. I will decide number 4 when I get there. I don't know. I tend to overthink this shit. But I at the start of the stream, if you missed it, I walk through the thought process for each. So, like, I mean, certainly depending on use case, certain characters stick out more than others. It's just a question of which tank needs it most, or which character is like most desperate for the crit chance, or that sort of thing. Is broadly how I treat it. I don't think I would hate if Morgan was next, but I don't think that's the sexiest option. But I mean, I've been really fucking enjoying the Wrecker so far. Like, the shit just feels good. Oh, goddamn it. Right. I forgot. I cannot show. This normally had 92% protection, but now it's only 40%. Well, damn. Alright. I'm out of here. I might roll the crons on stream later. We'll see how I'm feeling. But yeah. Did I make it? Wow. A perfect 10. Alright. Well, thanks for hanging out. That was a lot more yapping than I thought it would be. Plenty of shit to talk about. Not a bad thing. Alright. Peace.